Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Trekyards. As always, he is Commander Cockings.
And as always, he is Captain Foley, never a promotion to be seen because he's very happy being that centre seat for you all, leading the way into the Trek's future.
And Samuel just won't get one because, I need my commander by my side. So, anyway, today we're talking about the new trailer for Picard Season 2. And today we're talking about some actual canon ships that are in that trailer. And we're very excited because we are Trekyards after all. So we like to do the things with the ships.
And the internet was a wonderful ablaze with this because the only sort of canon ships we saw in the Picard essence was that we saw the Discovery era ships in the Picard short, which made zero sense at all. And then we didn't even get the Enterprise, the Odyssey class, when we saw Picard's flashback, so we missed the opportunity. And then we got, there was all new stuff and varying quality. And so what do they start this new trailer with? Real Trek canon, here we go, boom, fresh stuff, and some of the fun secondaries that people are either like or intrigued with. And today we're going to give our second reaction to both appearances of the Nova and Steamrunner. And then, as you guys know, I will have done direct comparison renders with both ships, the exact angles, and I'm even trying to match the lighting to see if I can, and yes, I could. And we'll see how close or not close they are. But, of course, it is worth saying one quick disclaimer. We're going to compare them to the Direct Prime canon. However, we do know these are the alternate universe versions that are in the darker future. So, while we will just dissect them in that vein of being Prime canon, these are, in essence, mirror universe ships, just a new mirror universe. So any differences in terms of look, style, is that. Stuart, here is the three best Nova shots, one of which is slightly zoomed in, but hey-ho.
Slightly. The internet kind of blew up when they saw these. We got a lot of messages. It's good to be recognized for that, and it's good to recognize these ships in this shot, I gotta say. So yeah, these guys are hunting down essentially the La Serena on its way to do its thing. Yeah, it was great to see them. I felt really good to actually see canon ships. That's kind of one thing we talked about when we did our review of Season 1 that we should have seen, and thankfully we got them here. But they look good.
And it's doubly annoying because Eagle Moss has done for 5 or 6 years building this archive, because everything you see that's been presented to you as a model, they have a 3D model of, either from the show or built scratch. So they all exist as 3D models. And so when a show chooses not to use them, even the conversion process is not that extreme, especially less so than building a fresh model. Like the canon model exists. They could use the Enterprise Z from Nemesis and maybe take a week to convert it, etc. Especially with the year of pandemic delays, there is zero excuse to not use these ships, and so here they are. And this very well may be the original Nova model from Voyager. It's not the best mesh, but you're saying that in comparison to a 2022 thing. But some Discovery meshes aren't particularly good either. So some models are actually better from the show than in the new show because they don't need to be detailed, etc. So this very well might be a conversion version of the Nova. Who knows? Because it's been lit so dark you can't see any details.
A conversion version.
Yes.
Nice. A lot of people have made the observation, too, that the shuttle bays are open. I don't think they are necessarily. I think those are just lights shining on the door, like the ring around. But
yeah, and in fact, I've done some renders, and there's been some interesting side effects of my rendering of how light works, which is interesting. Now, one thing that makes me think this may just be a conversion of the original model, like I said, because it's just lit so dark, you can't see any physical detail, is that they continued to not have the impulse engine, where the impulse engine is conceptually meant to be, which is on that top block, because that's where Rick designed it. That's where it makes sense. It literally has no impulse engine, and you would think if they're doing a fresh model, they'd say, "Oh, we're missing this, let's add it in." But this looks as if it may maintain the 3 shuttle bays or work bay of the original model, which makes sense to use the cannon. But to just add an impulse engine would have been great because it needs to have impulse.
It's an important thing, yeah. No, were you excited to see them when you saw them on screen?
Oh yeah, and absolutely. I mean, the lighting's appalling. Really, really, really bad. I mean, let's just get out of the way. It's terrible.
It's space, man. Space.
Well, but space looked better in the 90s when Voyager was doing it, and then etc. And it kind of makes Nemesis look even better when they just had beautiful looking CG, and this is much worse. But dark reality. If the ships are conversions, I don't want to highlight them as well. They feels like Discovery Season 1 style, whatever. But the shapes are still there. Just they have a certain feel. We've looked at a lot of recent ships with like Lower Decks and Prodigy where we could tell the proportions were wrong. These, to me, and I've rendered this ship a ton, the proportions feel really, really solid. That's why I'm kind of, maybe they just took the model and converted it. especially with some legacy people like Dud Drexler work on the show that have the models, and if they're on the show, they're like, well, you don't need to pay this company to spend 30,000 to build a new one. Just take the original, convert it for 2,000, add some detail, boom, and it's the canon. You know, it means to get proportions right if you use the original. You know, you win, etc. But the next shot though is the Steamrunner. Here it is, the three shots, which are really just sort of two in a.
Great to see. I'm not a fan of the Steamrunner design at all, but it is one of the first contact fleet, the new Borg killing fleet. And there's no actual angles here that I don't like it at, really. These look pretty cool. But overall, just not a huge fan of the Steamrunner. But it was still great to see it in conjunction with the Nova because, you know, you don't need to have sovereigns and stuff chasing a ship like the Lost Arena. You know what I mean? Like, this shot of the back of the bridge, I didn't really clock that when I saw the trailer. So I'm glad you included that. But, you know, from the front, absolutely. I think it looks pretty spot on to what it should look like.
It's worth noting that the deflector's red.
Yeah, well, that's the evil universe thing.
Yep, and the warp grills are so invisible in terms of lighting that they might not even be there, whereas the Nova had a bright blue. And then the Nova also, if you go back to that for a second, the deflectors aren't lit at all, which might just be rendering error. I just think they just don't pay attention, but there aren't any deflector glows. The deflectors are there, you can see them, they're physical, but there ain't no glows. But as Pill waiting for, here is a shot of the original model from the show, compared in two angles, which I've lit almost the same, although I have put more fill to they're not as black, because what would be the point of us comparing black detail to black detail? So they're a little bit overlit, but the same angle anyway. So here you go. Direct comparison.
Wow. I love these comparisons, because yeah, you're right. They got like the 3 shuttle bay thing, which I never noticed, where there should be an impulse engine.
And I will say, it was not hard to match these angles. And you know me with the Bird of Prey, almost impossible, another ship recently, that side view, that was not hard to achieve. Like, even so much as you can see the windows, that's very well perspectively correct.
Yeah, I'm impressed, actually. Wow.
And yet you can see, now you know it's there, you can see that upper shuttle bay door, because it's a slightly different colour metal. You can see it, because it should be an impulse drive. It was sketched that way, but the modelers didn't pay attention, and didn't make an impulse drive.
And actually, if you zoom in on your render, you can actually see the rear shuttle bay that people say is open is lit. It's got an inner light up there. Or something.
Yeah, because I use a radiosity pass, which is bounce light, and once you do that, the way the light kind of, it's weird. It just did that. I actually had to turn it down a little bit because it was just too bright. It looked silly, so I kind of made half radiosity. But no, you can see it has all the main details. The light glows. It is weird that all the windows are bright blue. That feels odd because they definitely shouldn't be blue, and they, you know, in a modern show, you should have interiors to the windows. I have interiors in my windows and my fan films. It's not hard, and it adds a lot of depth. I know obviously at a distance they look darker because you're not seeing, you know, they're not big and bright, but they never really do interiors, so it's not really their thing. But no, I mean, the details look super spot on. I mean, your eye goes just the small things that should be there, and you're like, actually, that is there, and that is there, you know? And they're not known for necessarily matching every detail perfectly.
There's even a blue glow kind of around the main deflector on the front there. But then the forward secondary or auxiliary deflector is just red.
Yeah, it's really surreal to see the right hand picture, because it's like the same thing that they've wiped away the blur.
Yeah, like
how close I got it.
Just clean that up a bit.
But yeah, the deflector should pop really nice and bright, and there's obviously missing. Yeah, I think I would agree. There's probably a little bit of just color variation, but obviously it should have just a different feel. And also if they're redder as well, which goes towards the whole red energy vibe that they're going for here. But definitely not necessarily feeling about right, but you can still see the levels of windows are correct, the cutouts correct, the torpedo launchers, and hopefully we'll see some torpedo launchers fire from those, because we really don't see that in the show.
Well, they are firing at the Lost Arena, so we'll see. Sequence.
Yeah.
It's a longer sequence in the actual show.
Close-ups. But yeah, really close. I mean, like I say, I think they may just use the original model, which is what they should be doing. Now the second ship though, and again, wasn't that hard to do. And I even you know, matching the lighting, it's like, oh, suddenly the reflections all match up a bit, because that's how lighting works. I was like, ooh, I almost captured it the same.
That's amazing. Yeah, the details are all there. It's like, wow. Oh, the deflector, yeah, the deflector is obviously the wrong color, but they're not. Let's say they're in pursuit mode. That's
Oh, that's terrible, Stuart. That's a terrible gouge shortcut. No, but
I'm trying to think of a reason besides just evil.
But I mean, but symbolically though, blue is such a nice refined color. So if you make it hard red, that is a. I mean, you can't mistake the ships at that point. That is a very simple tell. And I'd rather that be red than Basard's be like purple. You know, of all the conceits, I'd rather have that. No, and this is I mean, super interesting. Although, and this is the Eagle Moss model, which was made for the magazines, because the original version is so low detail. It was not really usable in any real meaningful way. And this is with their full light rig, which is rather elaborate. And you can see this obviously has interactive lighting and blinkies. A lot of them. It's actually quite a high-end renderable ship. This new version is missing all of that. It's very flat. And my version, I think, looks nicer because it has all of those elements popping in. I'm missing the red and you should see the red and green. If they're there, you should see them. And you can see the lack of colour of the warp grills, which is muted white, which doesn't make sense either. So it just feels less colourful and less nice looking. I mean, would you kind of agree my renders are a bit nicer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not just because the other ones are zoomed in, but they're recognizable easily just from the scene. But to zoom in and do the comparison, it's like, that is impressive. Like, that's an attention to detail that's gotta give them credit for, because they haven't really shown anything canon, really.
Nope. And like I say, when the canon ships exist, it's hard to excuse, oh no, we'll do new ones that are quite off, etc. Like the Enterprise D having the wrong, in Picard having some wrong elements. Like, well, you have real models, guys, come on. But I will say, though, that actually this morning, in fact, before this filming, a Twitter tweet chain was shared, and it was Ben from Eagle Moss, and they were said, oh, Ben, did you see the ships are in Picard trailer? And he said, yes, we might have helped with them. So I am pretty confident to say this is the same model that they just gave to Picard and converted, because, like I say, really easy to get the same angles, really easy to see the same angles, and it's like, this is a really good model. It's one of their better ones, actually, that they made fresh, and the detail stands out. So I think this is literally the same model, because yes, it looks like the same damn model, which is great. Egos made it. It's now in the show. Good, use it. It makes our lives a lot nicer, and then it doubles down on the proper one from the Egos magazine. So if this is the fully untouched real one with a slightly retextured deflector, good. You took Trekyards' advice from years ago.
Now the question is Eagle Moss going to make a new version, a Picard version of the Steamrunner with a red deflector?
Yes. What will be their new? We can't go ISS. What's the new pennant for evil? But I'm just hoping beyond hope that we are going to see in the first episode, second episode, the prime versions of these flying as well, to show that proper lighting, properly lit, properly blinkies, properly done correctly, to then contrast with the done evilly, to kind of justify it. Because then if you get that contrast, you get that here it is. If you already have the model, you do the prime version first, just so you have it on file. You've got it. Unlike the Zheng He, when they had no effort, no time, here's the thing. Well, they've already got the models, just make the prime version. Just even in the background, cut to Earth space dock, here they are flying, they look gorgeous, classic lighting. And then they convert them for evil for the later on scenes. I'm hoping.
I don't have faith that they're going to see the prime versions, but that's okay.
Yeah. But no, well done. And those of you that thought they were similar, yeah, they're all similar. They might be the same models, and here are the comparisons.
Very cool. Well, thank you for doing those renders, Samuel. I really appreciate looking at them. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because you see more of this kind of stuff. We like to do this stuff whenever new Trek is coming out, and there's a lot of new Trek on the way, guys. So make sure you're subscribed and click the notification bell icon and join us for our lives as well. And during those lives, you can super chat to give your direct voice heard, your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, and you can make us converse with any real crazy things, and you might discover the secret of season 2 of Picard, and you want to tell us, and we'll discuss it. Then you'll tell us you told you so in 6 weeks, and we'll say, oh, we didn't believe you. Well, it's a crackpot idea, okay? Or if you want to support us on a monthly basis, Patreon, or joining the YouTube channel via the join button, go figure, and via one-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com, or buy shirts and etc. from the description down below. All the links are there. Have a look, have a buy, and say hi in the comments as well. Have a link in a bot. See, you're rhyming a lot in this episode, which is great. Anyway, guys, until next time, he's Commander Cockings. He's Captain Foley. We are Trekyards. Yeah. See you guys later. Bye, guys.